Let's bring in now retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, host of Daniel Davis Deep Dive on YouTube and senior fellow at Defense Priorities. Lieutenant Colonel, always great to see you. First of all, what was your initial reaction to this large-scale drone attack by Ukraine? I mean, allegedly hundreds of drones.
It's just kind of a head shaker because it's not going to help them at all. There's no impact whatsoever militarily because obviously Russia has the air defense capacity to shoot down a vast majority of those. Apparently only a handful actually got through. A lot of the damage that we saw was because of the wreckage that was falling once they were shot down. At least two I've seen. I think you're showing one on there where it hit an apartment building and one hit a mall. So they're not even going after military targets. They're just trying to stir the pot up. It's not going to make Russia afraid. It's not going to make them, give a better deal. So there's no value to this at all. It's just going to make, I think, Russia madder, like shaking up the hornet's nest. But on the other side, you saw when the Russians are firing theirs, they have ballistic missiles, they have these drones, and a lot of them actually get through and cause military damage. So the Ukraine side keeps getting weaker, and the Russian side is getting stronger. And I promise you, this will not make them want to concede anything in negotiations.
Well, that was my next, obvious question there, because these strikes happening truly just hours before these high-level talks in Saudi Arabia there. How does this all potentially impact these talks?
Well, listen, I think that I saw some of the comments your correspondent had there from talking to some members on the Congress. We're missing the big point here. And not enough people are listening to what the Russians are saying. They are saying we are not going to concede on anything. There won't be any ceasefire on the land or in the sea like the Ukraine side want. They're not going to give in on any of the territorial acquisitions. They're not going to give on demilitarization and what they call denazification, which is the requirement that there be new elections, et cetera. They are in a position of power. They don't have to give anything. They can just keep fighting. This is not the Russian strike was not trying to get better negotiating position. It's the continuation, which they have been categorical on. We are not going to stop fighting until we have a deal. So this is just normal, what they've been doing for the better part of the last 30 months. And I think we misunderstand what their signaling are, that when we try to think that they're trying to get a deal when they don't need a deal. The Ukraine side needs a deal.
All right. So, to piggyback off that, Lieutenant Colonel, essentially Russia is saying no concessions. Does that mean concessions are only going to come from Ukraine, do you think?
Well, see, I argue it's not an issue of concessions. It's not that Trump is going to, quote, give away anything to Russia. Russia has the power to take what they want. They have signaled what they will satisfy. They will either get that through a negotiation and a diplomacy where it's agreed to by both sides, or they will take it on the battlefield. And that's the part that the other part that a lot in the West don't get is that Trump doesn't have anything to give or take. He's just trying to bring this war to an end. But Russia does have the capacity to take what they want, and they don't have to submit to any of the things that the Ukraine side keeps asking for.
So what do you think it will take to get these talks, these peace talks, to move in a positive direction?
It's going to take the Ukraine side being, and I think this is probably what's going on behind the scenes with the U.S. delegation there in Jeddah, that they have to recognize you're going to have to give away stuff. You're not in a position to where you can demand anything. You have to concede what the Russians are asking for, or you're going to lose even more. What they would concede in negotiations right now would be ugly compared to what it could have been, say, if they'd have done the wise thing and taken the Istanbul Agreement in 2022. But it's better than what they'll get if they refuse to negotiate and refuse to concede, because then Russia will conquer militarily more than they're asking for in negotiations. That's the ugly truth.
Do you think the U.S. will ultimately provide some sort of security agreement for Ukraine?
No, absolutely not. Categorically, there's no chance that President Trump, he has been emphatic that he wants to avoid any possibility of a conflict with Russia. He's already looking beyond this war with Russia, wants to normalize relations, wants to get some nuclear reduction treaties signed, wants the New START, et cetera. He wants to improve relations with Russia. He wants to move beyond it. There's no way that he would risk a war with Russia.
Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, thank you as always. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.